So everybody should have the sheets. Tonight we are studying the 3rd chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad-gita. We will begin by uttering the sacred 12-syllable mantra. This mantra is very powerful. It was chanted by Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Chitraketu, and others. It is the beginning line of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So please repeat 3 times after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So, chapter 3 is entitled Karma Yoga. There are 43 verses. As soon as the word yoga is attached, that means this is a spiritual process. The Vedas deal with both material and spiritual subjects. But as soon as this word yoga comes, then we are to understand that it is spiritual. Yoga means to link with the Supreme. The Supreme can be understood as 3 different features. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan iti Shabdyate. Those who are impersonalists, they understand the Supreme as Brahman, the all-pervading spiritual energy. Those who are true mystic yogis, they understand the Supreme as Paramatma, Super Soul, God dwelling in the heart of every living being. But those who are personalists, those who are devotees or bhaktas, their understanding of the Supreme is Bhagavan. Bhagavan means the personality, Godhead. Later on in this Bhagavad-gita, the 15th chapter, Purushottama Yoga. So Purushottama means the topmost or transcendental person. In the beginning of chapter 12 of Bhagavad-gita, Arjuna asked Krishna the question, should I worship the impersonal Supreme or the personal Supreme? Krishna's immediate response, you should worship my personal form. And then he warned that if you try to realize the impersonal Supreme, klesho adhikataras tesham, simply trouble. So those who are less intelligent, they take the troublesome path. And those who are intelligent take the easy path, which is why in chapter 9, Krishna says, Susukam kartum avyayam. This personal path of Bhagavad-gita is Sukam. You know the word Sukam, happiness, pleasure, but Su means very nice, very easy, very pleasurable. That is the personal path or the Bhakti Marg. The Bhakti Marg is the personal path. So yoga, to link with God. So this chapter 3, I have broken it out into different sections, as you see in the sheets. So tonight we're going to cover the entire 3rd chapter, and we will derive some spiritual benefit. So the first 3 verses, Arjuna questions Krishna, because that is how spiritual subject matter is understood. A question is raised and the authority answers. Just as in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the sages of Naimisharanya, headed by Shaunaka, they pose questions to Sutta Goswami. Then, later on, Parikshit Maharaj poses questions to Shukadeva Goswami. And then within that, there is the questions raised by Vidura to the sage Maitreya. Then also there is the Uddhava Gita, where Uddhava questions Krishna. And there are many other episodes in Bhagavatam. But the basis is questions and answers. All right, so let us begin. Arjuna said, O Janardhan. So Janardhan is the name of Krishna. It has different meanings. One meaning, the killer of the demons. Everybody likes that one. Another definition of Janardhan, maintainer of the universe. So, O Janardhan. Then, O Keshava, another name of Krishna. That alone has 3 meanings. The common meaning, Krishna killed the Keshi, the horse demon that was sent by Kamsa. And that Keshi demon assumed the form of a horse. Another meaning of Keshava, Krishna's hair. He's a person. That means he has hair. His hair is very, very fine. And it's dark bluish tint with a little bit of red in it. Krishna's hair. And the third meaning of Keshava, which is the most esoteric, this name Keshava means that person who controls Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Some people might not like that. But it's true. Ka Isha. So this Krishna, he controls Lord Brahma and he controls Lord Shiva. 3 meanings of Keshava. Why do you want to engage me in this ghastly warfare? If you recall, chapter 1, what didn't Arjuna want to do? He didn't want to fight. He gave lots of reasons why he didn't want to fight. He gave moral, religious, social. He gave lots of reasons. But when Arjuna finally allowed Krishna to speak, what did Krishna tell Arjuna? You think you're a learned man. You talk as if you're a learned man. But Krishna said, but no learned man actually talks like you, Arjuna. And immediately Krishna said, fight. Fight this battle. So, in chapter 2, where Krishna begins his instructions to Bhagavad-gita, we studied last night at my friend Kundan Loka. So we learned that repeatedly Krishna was telling Arjuna not to lament, not tvam sochitum arhasi, because in chapter 1, that's all Arjuna was doing, lamenting. So Krishna said, no, not tvam sochitam, you do not deserve this lamentation. So that was repeated. And then also several times, get up and fight. And throughout Bhagavad-gita, Krishna doesn't change that message. All the way throughout Bhagavad-gita, Krishna says, therefore, get up and fight. But what's very significant, at the end of Bhagavad-gita, Krishna says, I told you everything, you decide what you want to do. Free will. I have talked to many people, and they are confused about this. They think that Krishna is the master chess player and we're just pawns. No. We have free will. Krishna doesn't force you to do anything. Krishna gives you choices. You do this, you'll get this result. You do this, you'll get different result. You do something, everything has a different result. But the choice is up to you. Yate shasi tata kuru. That's a very important line in Bhagavad-gita. Yata ichasi, yate shasi, as you like, as you desire, you do. Yes, just like it's happening right now. Some of my longtime students, their sons now have become adults. So they're saying, I can't control them anymore. So this is what they should understand. That you may have a son or a daughter, but at some time you have to say, Yatesha sita takuru. As you like, you do. Okay, let's continue. Why do you want to engage me in this ghastly warfare? So, still Arjuna doesn't want to fight. He still has doubts. If you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work, because in chapter 2, Krishna introduced another yoga, Buddhi yoga, linking with God by means of your intelligence. That was introduced in chapter 2. So Arjuna is confused. Still he's confused. Krishna, you're telling me I should use my intelligence? But now he admits again, my intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instructions. Equivocal means somebody is speaking in a certain way and you're not sure what he's saying. It seems like he's saying yes and no at the same time. Like our two political candidates for president, they're all speaking equivocally. When they're asked a question, they answer it in such a way as not to say yes and not to say no. Monday there'll be the first debate. You watch how they will answer. They'll answer with two sides of the mouth. That's not this, it's not, and the person will try to corner him. But the politician is very expert. Yes, it's like this, but it's not like this. Equivocal. Two things contradictory coming out of the same mouth. So that's what Arjuna thinks. Therefore, please tell me decisively which will be most beneficial for me. This ties into what Arjuna did in chapter 2. We discussed last night the turning point of Bhagavad-gita. The turning point of Bhagavad-gita was when Arjuna said, Shishyas teham shadimang twang prapanam. Now I am your disciple. Now I am surrendered to you. Please instruct me. This also calls to mind. Don't accept a guru if you're not going to follow his instructions. Just like, say you have a serious health problem. You go to a doctor. It costs money to go see a doctor. So what use is it you go to a doctor Pay him $100 just for the visit. He tells you what to do, and then you say, I'm not going to do what he... Why did you waste your money? If you're going to go to a doctor, then you should follow his advice. So the same way, don't accept a guru unless you're willing to follow his instructions. Don't waste his time. Don't waste your time. That's how you select a guru. You're going to select somebody who, when you ask him a question or ask for advice, and then he gives it to you, then you're going to follow it. If not, you're only wasting your own time and money. So Arjuna here is good. He's still surrendered. Please tell me decisively. I want to know, Arjuna wants to know, what is beneficial for me? Okay, so let's see what Krishna says. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said. That's also significant. Throughout Bhagavad-gita, when Vyasadeva is including this in the Mahabharata, you'll never see Krishna Uvacha. Doesn't say that. It says what? Bhagavan Uvacha. If Vyasadeva had put Krishna Uvacha, somebody may think, oh, Krishna, that's anybody. But by putting Bhagavan Uvacha, now Vyasadeva makes it serious. It's a serious thing. Because Bhagavan means the supreme authority. Not just some radio announcer. No, Bhagavan means the authority. O sinless Arjuna, I have already explained that there are two classes of men who try to realize the self. Some are inclined to understand by empirical philosophical speculation, and others by devotional service. So these, the empirical philosophical speculation, they are called jnanis. They're trying to realize the self, the soul, by philosophical discrimination, determining what is real, what is unreal. But there are others who become self-realized by devotional service. As I already said a few minutes ago, Krishna already said, the best is the person who worships his personal form. That means devotees. That means devotional service. So without going any further, I already know the conclusion. The conclusion is, if you want to understand the self, the best process is bhakti, devotional service. All right, now we go to the next section, which is verses 4 through 8. The title of this section, False Renunciation. If there's false renunciation, there must be true renunciation. Let's see what Krishna says. Not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction. That was Arjuna's beginning premise. One of Arjuna's arguments in the beginning, I don't want to fight this war because I think it's sinful. So Arjuna just wanted to run away from the battle. So that's what Krishna is saying. No, by abstaining from work, you'll not achieve freedom from reaction. You'll not escape. No. I've given the example many, many times. Say you're being attacked by a criminal. You call 911. You expect the police to come and protect you. How would you like it? You're being attacked. Your house is being attacked, robbed. You call the police. The police comes to the door and says, you know what? We're not going to do anything. How would you like that? No, you want the police to come and take care of the bad person, don't you? Don't you pay the policeman's salary? Yes, this is a big topic right now because we have all this police shootings and riots going on. So this is one of the arguments. The taxpayers are the ones paying the policeman's salary. I hope we don't have any policemen here. I don't want to offend anybody, but it's the truth. The police, you by your taxes, you are paying the police, so they have to do their duty. So if you're being attacked, you expect that when you need it, or just like another example, do you have here a fire department in Yorba Linda? You pay their salaries too, right? If there's a fire, you call the firemen. What if they come with the trucks and they say, you know what? We're just going to let it burn down. Would you like that? You wouldn't like that. You would sue the fire department, wouldn't you? Yes. Why? They're not doing their duty. That's Krishna's argument to Arjuna. Krishna is telling Arjuna, you're not doing your duty. That's why Krishna is chastising Arjuna in Bhagavad-gita. On that point, you're not doing your duty. You're a medical professional. You're a medical professional, correct? If a patient comes to you, do you go to the patient? You know what? I don't like you. Go away. I only take care of Hindu people. Would you do that? No. What's that? No, he has others. He could get sued. Discrimination. Right? Everyone is supposed to do their duty. This is a very important principle. And everybody has duties. I can show you in the Srimad Bhagavatam what are the duties of a woman. Women have duties. Men, fathers have duties. Children have duties. Everybody has a duty in Vedic culture. Nobody is exempt from duty. Without prescribed duties, there's no human society. It's chaos. It's animalistic society. Duty is essential for having a human society. So, not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction. Nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. So this is an important principle. Renouncing your duty is not the way to achieve liberation or perfection. No. Now what does Krishna say? Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. So all of us have a particular nature. That nature was developed from so many previous lives. The way you are now, your particular nature, it didn't happen overnight. You have been developing that nature for millions of lifetimes. And it's not that God is forcing you. You made choices. And those choices gave a certain result. And now you look at yourself, you look in the mirror, or you study your particular inclinations. You have nobody to thank but yourself. You can't blame anything on anyone else. Your situation that you're in right now was already decided by so many decisions throughout millions of lifetimes. And it hasn't stopped. You're making decisions in this lifetime which are going to determine your next life. So once you get this understanding, you become scared. Because depending on how I decide, I'm creating my next life. Yes. So depending on those qualities, that is why we act. Because we all have a nature. For instance, in the Mahabharata, let's take two persons, Yudhishthir and Duryodhana. Are they the same? Two different natures, right? What was Yudhishthir's qualities? Moral, just, compassionate, truthful. Yudhishthir had so many good qualities. Duryodhana, what was his qualities? Harshness, cruelty, vengeance, envy, jealousy. They two people, but they had different also Karna. Karna had his nature. Arjuna had his nature. All these personalities, those natures have been developed after many, 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 many lifetimes. And you and I, we're also developing a nature. This is why we study Bhagavad-gita, in order to make the nature, our nature, better and better. A progressive human being wants to become more refined, wants to improve. If somebody thinks, I'm perfect as I am, that person will not improve. Duryodhana gave that excuse so many times when he was confronted. What was Duryodhana's excuse? This is who I am. Deal with it. And even Duryodhana didn't understand, because he would say, this is the way God made me. That was his way of getting out. When things were pointed out to Duryodhana, he would say, well, this is the way God made me. No, Duryodhana, you're wrong. God didn't make you. You made decisions. You choose to be this way. Same way with Karna. One of my favorite stories of Karna. Just before the battle, Krishna took Karna on his chariot. Krishna came in the morning. And he told Karna, Karna, you are actually the son of Kunti. You're actually a Pandava. Why don't you join your brothers and take their side in the war? Krishna was giving Karna the best option. And the part that really does it for me is when Krishna told Karna, Karna, the Pandavas will accept you as their leader. What he had wanted all his life, that's all Karna wanted throughout his whole life, was the prestige and the honor. Krishna was saying, Yudhishthir and all his brothers, they will follow you. You'll become, because you're the oldest. Karna was Kunti's first son. So Krishna was telling Karna, all the Pandavas will follow you. And then Krishna said, I'll also follow you. What more could you ask? If Krishna came to you tomorrow morning, Shri Balav, I will follow you, what would you tell Krishna? Huh? Oh, you better. And then the last, to sweeten the deal even more, what did Krishna say? So Krishna said, Yudhishthira and all his brothers will surrender to you. You'll be the head of the Pandavas. I, Krishna, will also back you up. And Draupadi will eventually accept you as her husband. I would have accepted right then and there. Draupadi was the most beautiful. So Karna was being given 3 great benedictions. And what did stupid Karna do? No. It's more moral that I stay with Duryodhan. What an idiot. So, Karna has no excuse for what happened afterwards. He was given given 3 special choices, but instead he chose to follow Duryodhan. He had the choice. He had the choice. Krishna didn't force him, right? Krishna didn't strap a bomb to his chest and say, either you do what I say or we blow up. No. Krishna gave him choice. But because of Karna's nature and his associations, he made the wrong decision. And you all know what happens at the end. Who came out victorious? Pandavas. Karna and all the Kauravas finished. Is that Krishna's fault? That's Krishna's? No. He had the choice. He had the choice. Let us continue. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. Because the reason for that, the soul is always active. You are psychiatrist, Dr. Dull, right? So, you deal with the mind. So according to the Vedas, even while you're asleep, the mind is still active. That's why we have dreams. So the soul is always active. So those who want to stop all activity, they're fooling themselves, because that's an impossibility. You will always be active. Now Krishna continues. One who restrains the senses of action, but whose mind dwells on sense objects, certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. So what is that? So those who are spiritualists, they restrain unnecessary use of the senses. But that's only half. Because simply, like you all have experience, right? Janmashtami, you're supposed to fast the whole day. I don't know about you, but when Janmashtami comes and you're fasting the whole day, by 2 o'clock, what am I thinking of? What am I going to eat? By 4 o'clock, oh my God, it feels like it's been 12 years. When 6 o'clock comes, oh my God, it's only 6 o'clock. So I'm restraining my senses, but I'm still thinking of sense gratification. So this is false renunciation. Somebody is practicing some yoga or meditation, restraining the senses, but actually inside they're still meditating on some fruitive intention. Like Dhruva. Dhruva was a 5-year-old boy, and he was taught by Narada Muni to do bhakti yoga. He was chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. But he had an intention. He wanted the greatest kingdom. So he could also be called that. He was restraining his senses, but still he was thinking of how he could enjoy his senses. Last night we studied, Krishna said, one should restrain the senses but think of me. We learned that last night. Because if you just restrain the senses and don't think of Krishna, ultimately you will fall. What was the example I gave? Vishvamitra. Vishvamitra was meditating for thousands of years, but he was not thinking of Krishna. So when the ankle bells of Menaka, his meditation broke, and he saw Menaka, and thousands of years of austerities produced Shakuntala. He was not focusing on the... So that's why Krishna said, you restrain the senses, but at the same time, you think of me. That's a key item in this Bhagavad-gita. You restrain your senses, but you think of me. On the other hand, if a sincere person tries to control the active senses by the mind and begins karma yoga in Krishna consciousness without attachment, he is by far superior. So karma yoga means linking with Krishna by means of action, activity. In the case of Arjuna, his karma yoga was shoot arrows. That was his karma yoga. You see the difference here. For Arjuna, the way he's going to link with the Supreme is to fight and kill. The Brahman does it differently. The Brahman links with the Supreme by chanting mantras, doing sacrifices, studying the Vedas. An ordinary householder can link with the Supreme Karma Yoga by doing his prescribed duties, and we learned last night, offering the results to Krishna. As Krishna said last night, you are allowed your prescribed duties, but you're not entitled to the fruits of action. If I go next door, who's next door? Are they Indian? No. So if I go next door and I tell them, yes, you should do your work, but you're not entitled to the paycheck, they'll throw me out. They'll call Trump on me, arrest this man. But that is what Krishna says in Bhagavad-gita. You have a right to your duty, but not to the fruits of action. The fruits of action should be given to Krishna. Just like we're going to do an offering. So much bhoga was prepared. But we don't eat it first, right? First it's offered. Then we take prasad. So yes, in karma yoga, in Krishna consciousness, you work, you give to Krishna, and you take prasad. Okay. Without attachment. Attachment means don't be a miser. It's not mine. Everything belongs to Krishna. You all tell me when I go to your house and I tell you, oh, you have a very nice house, and you all tell me, you've been telling me for 25 years, Prabhu, it's not my house, it's Krishna's house. You know that because that's how you are raised. It's in your culture. It's not an American culture. I can tell you that right now. That's not American culture. American culture is, it's mine. I earned it. It's mine. But in Krishna culture, I earn it. I give it to Krishna. Yes, sir.
Like you say, like everybody say like Krishna, right? Whatever we have, everybody say like that. I agree. But reality is what is it?
It depends on the person. It depends on the person. You offer your food, don't you?
I do everything, but no. But point is, food is the different story. I say, oh, this is belong house is Krishna, right? But
I got it.
if Krishna, then we have to serve for everybody, right?
What?
No.
Just like say is different and do is different, right?
Huh?
If I say this is belong to Krishna,
Yes.
but if something we not do for Krishna, that's what just say is different.
Yes. So it should not be empty. But I know you do lots of things for Krishna.
No, that's different story for me.
Yes.
Reality is not like that.
But your reality is different. You're a devotee. What's that? Well, but at least you do. At least you don't?
Yes, Prabhu.
All right, don't worry about the other guy.
No, I'm not even 100%. I'm even myself.
So, now you should do more.
No, that's nothing. That's
No. I understand what you're saying. Yes. So, now, coming to this, now try to increase. Try to do more for Krishna. Huh?
yeah, that's I agree. Yeah.
Yes. So, then, do as much as you can. Yes? Suresh? No? You're not going to do more?
I do more, no problem. But the point not that. Just go ahead.
No. The point is, other people. I understand. But what can you do for other people?
I cannot do anything.
Yeah. So, don't worry about them.
I'm not worried.
Yeah.
I'm worrying myself.
Yes.
Not
No, that's why later in this chapter, Krishna will say, set the good example. That's all. Set the good example. Okay, so let's finish this section. Perform your prescribed duty, for doing so is better than not working. Because Arjuna wants to run away from the battle. So perform your prescribed duty, for doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work. So everybody, because some people think Bhagavad-gita teaches that you give up your duty. No. Here Krishna is saying, no. Do your prescribed duty, but do it in Krishna consciousness. Everybody chant the Maha Mantra. So her very intelligent question was, I said previously, everyone has duties, whether you're a man, woman, wife, husband, child. So she would like me to explain that. So here's how it works. In terms of husband and wife, the Vedic concept is that the husband sees the wife as Krishna's property. Since the wife doesn't belong to the husband, but belongs to Krishna, then it becomes a responsibility. What is the husband's responsibility? Because this is even mentioned by Rishabdev in the 5th canto, that one should not become a husband, one should not become a guru, one should not become a worshipful devata or anything unless you're able to deliver your dependents from repeated birth and death. So the husband's main duty is to make sure and give protection to the wife so that she has all facility to become completely liberated and go back to Godhead. Similarly, the wife's duty for the husband is to keep him out of Maya. She is to protect the husband so that the husband also makes spiritual advancement. The problem in modern society, man sees the woman as a vehicle for sense enjoyment. And the wife also sees the husband as a vehicle for sense enjoyment. But in Krishna culture, the husband sees, this is my responsibility. I have to give her instruction. I have to set example, because there's a favorite expression. Example is better than precept. Not that I'm the husband, you do what I say. I'm going to drink and smoke and do all kinds of nonsense, but you have to do what I say. No, 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 no. I've told the joke many times. Couple is getting married. The wife is thinking, oh, I'm marrying Kardamamuni. And the husband is thinking, I'm marrying somebody like Devahuti. But as the years go by, the husband turns into Kamsa and the wife turns into Putana. So, the vision is, just like women, what do you wear? Mangala Sutra, correct? Who is that for? Isn't it for the protection of the husband? Am I right? Yes. What's that? They don't. Well, a lot of others do. Yes. But the principle is, that's the principle. So that's the same idea. The wife's responsibility, I have to make sure that my husband does not fall into illusion and he stays on the spiritual path. And the husband has to make sure that the wife stays on the spiritual path. You become each other's servant. That's the ideal marriage. You become each other's well-wisher. Now, if you wanted to answer this question in terms of what Narada Muni says in the 7th canto, what is the wife supposed to do? She's supposed to serve the husband, serve the family members of the husband. Oh, I'll give you a better. What did Krishna say the night of the rasa dance? This is a good way to answer the question. Okay? During the night of the rasa dance, after Krishna left and then he came back, right? They were dancing and Krishna left the gopis. He even left Radharani. But then Krishna came back. So when he came back, there was a discussion because the gopis were a little upset that Krishna had left them. So they said to Krishna, Krishna, what is your opinion on love. So Krishna said, actually, love means the parents take care of the children because they do that out of duty. That's also love. When you take care of your children, don't you? That's love. One time, one of Prabhupada's servants was saying to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, I see all your disciples, they worship you and this and that. I don't have that feeling for you. I don't love you like all your other disciples. So Prabhupada said, but you like to serve me, right? And the boy said, yes, I like serving you. That's love. So when the wife serves the husband and the husband serves the wife, that's love. So Krishna in the night of the Rasa dance also said, what are the duties of a woman? Take care of the husband, take care of the parents, take care of the children. Krishna outlined this as the topmost duties of a wife. Take care of husband, take care of the family, take care of the children. Husband's duties, maintain, set proper example, be religious. Right? Be religious. That's easy way to look at it. Children, up to the age of 16, children should just obey. That's all. How old are your boys? So, once the age of 16 comes, now you have to start treating them like equal. You like that, don't you? I'm just repeating what Krishna says. Okay? You treat as equal. Okay? Up until 16, they should simply obey. Duty of grandparents. Duty of grandparents is to, hold one second. Duty of grandparents is to also become detached from family life and show by example how to become more and more religious and spiritually inclined. Yes? Yes, friend. Well, that's not what Prabhupada says. You might be following some other acharya, I don't know. Okay? Huh? Look, in your life, I know how you've treated your son. You've done it. You're not honest. You're not doing that to him, are you? No. Well, all right. The age is negotiable. Children's duties. Prahlad Maharaj said, Ko Mara Acharet Pragyo. From the age of 5, the children should be instructed in spiritual and religious instructions, teachings. So that's more duties. And the child's duty is to take that up seriously. I think your boys have done that, right? They're still attending my programs. They're still getting spiritual instruction. So you may have some complaints, but at least they're still coming to my program. And you know that if you have a problem, you can tell me, and I can get on their case. Right, Govind? Okay? Does that satisfy you? What would be your question?
bring all what to shopping or what do you call finding tax or whatever. They all the time busy, all in doing prescribed duties.
But part of his prescribed duties is to nurture his spiritual life, not just materialistic household duties. The husband also has to set the example as spiritual leader for the family. So not only does the husband work and provide things for the family, he has to set the example. Okay, now we come together. We read Bhagavad-gita. Now we come together. We do arti. Now we come together and we read Bhagavad-gita. So there's not just material duties. You have, because you're supposed to be grihasta, not grihamedi. Grihamedi only does the material thing, like 90% of America. All they do is material, but when it comes time for spiritual life, they're absent. But grihastas means, yes, I do my work, I do my job, I maintain my family, I educate my children. You Indian people I know, for the past 25 years, you are very keen on your children getting a good education. I've seen it. In every single case, you insist that your children do good in school. Am I right? And you don't let them just watch television all day, right? You enforce upon them that they have to apply themselves. But there's more to that. You also have to educate yourself and your children in Bhagavad-gita. That's also part of it. Not just doing the shopping.
Maintain the house, maintain.
But there has to be a balance.
You may not have the time left. You just maintain the
You have, no. You have to make the time. Because, yes, there's so many hours for this, so many hours for this, but instead of watching ZTV, it's time to study Bhagavad-gita. Instead of spending time watching cricket, it's time to study Bhagavad-gita. There has to be a balance. Otherwise, you're not grihasta, then you are grihamedi. I saw another hand raised. Somebody wanted to ask a question. All right. Shall we do more Bhagavad-gita or another bhaja? Huh? All right. Well, let's see. Who wants Bhagavad-gita? All right. I'll quit while I'm ahead. Okay, hold on. Everybody chant. All right, so this is the next section. We're in the 3rd chapter, and this section is verses 9 through 16, the cycle of sacrifice. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. So this is exactly the point we were just talking. Somebody may think, hey, I'm taking care of my family, I'm doing everything on the material platform, but that's not enough. Here he says, work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu. So that's not just doing your prescribed duty. That means doing some Krishna consciousness or some karma yoga, something connecting you with God. Otherwise, if you don't, what does Krishna say? Bondage. So I may take care of my family, get all my children educated, but I'm still going to have to come back and take birth again because I didn't do sacrifice for Vishnu. What we're doing tonight is sacrifice for Vishnu. That's okay. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction. And in that way, you will always remain free from bondage. In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods, along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, "Be thou happy by this yajna or sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation." So, when you live a Krishna conscious life where you offer everything to God, you are materially taken care of and at the same time spiritually taken care of. That's the whole idea. And as far as sacrifice, we are in the age of Kali. Sacrifice has been made very easy. You don't have to worry about calling Raghunandan, having the, what do you call it? Yajna. It costs money, right? He's not going to come for free, is he? How much? Yes, but that's not free. So in Kali Yuga, sacrifice has been made very easy. How much does a pair of beads cost? This one cost me $24.95 at Govinda's. All right. Here's your sacrifice in the age of Kali. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It's been made so easy. But still, what happens? What happens? People don't do it. They'll spend the money for the homa and this and that once or twice a year. But the real sacrifice in this age of Kali is so easy and so inexpensive, and you can do it at your convenience. You can do it anytime, any place, any situation. You don't even have to take bath. When you do the puja, you're supposed to take bath first. When you do this, you don't have to. There are no hard and fast rules. And this is the recommended sacrifice for this age. What's the quote? Hare Nama Eva Kevalam. It's been made so easy, and yet people still refuse to do it. The demigods, being pleased by sacrifices, will also please you, and thus by cooperation between men and demigods, prosperity will reign for all. In charge of the various necessities of life, the demigods, being satisfied by the performance of yajna sacrifice, will supply all necessities to you. But he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. Okay, so when Krishna was here 5,000 years ago, he made the point that by worshiping him, all the demigods are automatically satisfied. So when you worship Krishna, everything is taken care of. When you do this Japamala Sankirtan, all the debts to the demigods are handled. You understand? It is the quickest, easiest, most complete. Because there are 33 million administrative demigods, just administrative. How are you going to worship all of them? Can't. But if you do this, they're all taken care of. What's the example? You water the root of the tree, the leaves and branches are nourished. You put food in the mouth, it goes to the stomach, the whole body is nourished. All the demigods are the limbs of the universal form of Krishna. All the demigods are simply parts of the universal form of Krishna. So, you worship Krishna, the root, everything's taken care of. Very, very nice, easy system. Now the next line. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is first offered for sacrifice. So that's why we offer our food first. And now look what Krishna says. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin. Don't shoot me. I'm just a messenger. This is what Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad-gita. He's saying if you don't offer your food, you're eating sin, pap. But you offer it, it becomes prasad. I think we offered, right? So we're doing what Krishna says in Bhagavad-gita. All living bodies subsist on food grains, which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of yajna, sacrifice, and yajna is born of prescribed duties. Regulated activities are prescribed in the Vedas. Yes, you don't make up your own prescribed duties. That's another problem in Kali Yuga. Everybody's making up their own religion. We see that in the yoga. There's Hollywood yoga, hot yoga, cold yoga. Every other day there's a new yoga studio. And they're all concocting all these different kinds of yoga. That's Kali Yuga. Next thing they'll have is naked yoga. Trust me, that's coming. Because every other week they're coming up with a concoction, a new kind of yoga. But you can't make up your prescribed duties. No. Prescribed duties, what does it say? Our regulated activities are prescribed in the Vedas. And the Vedas are directly manifested from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just like you can't make up your own vehicle code. If you get stopped by the police, you were driving 100 miles an hour. But in my world, it's okay to drive 100. The policeman isn't going to buy that excuse. Okay? There's a standard book for driving in California. It's a big, thick book. Right? So the same way, your regulated activities, your prescribed duties, they're right here in Bhagavad-gita. Just one book. That's all you have to do is learn one book. Follow one book, you're covered. Consequently, the all-pervading transcendence is eternally situated in acts of sacrifice. You want to realize God, has to be done by sacrifice. What did Lord Narayan tell Lord Brahma at the dawn of creation? Tapa. I am only understood by tapa. And again, in Kali Yuga, you only have to do one tapa. Here it is. Don't worry about all the different vratas and this and that. Do this one. This is the recommended tapa in the age of Kali. It's easy, and later on it'll be said, susukam, joyfully performed. Yes, this is the recommended austerity. My dear Arjuna, one who does not follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice, thus established by the Vedas, certainly leads a life of sin, living only for the satisfaction of the senses. Such a person lives in vain. In other words, if one lives only for sense enjoyment, he's no different than an animal, according to Vedas. He's called Dvipada Pashu, an animal with two legs. Because human life is meant for God realization. That's why we are given human life, to realize God. But if someone says, oh, who cares about God? Just let me make money, enjoy. Okay, good. You're allowed to do that one lifetime. But next lifetime, you become animal or lower. Because you were given, just like your children. You're paying for their college, yes? Right? So that costs a lot of money that you have to work, right? So what if you find out that your boys, instead of going to college, are doing all kinds of nonsense activities? They spoiled it, right? Or some people, I don't know, maybe you bought your son or daughter a car. Some of you might do that, right? But if they wreck the car, right? They were given an opportunity, but they destroyed it. So the same way, Krishna gave you a human life which was meant for sense gratification, but you misused the opportunity. Then Krishna says, okay, I gave you an opportunity, but you had a different idea. You just want to enjoy your senses? Become an animal. Go. Now you can enjoy your senses without restriction. Whether you be a hog, dog, camel, whatever. Now there's no, right? For human society, there are so many rules and regulations and laws. Dogs don't wear clothes. They go around naked. And they eat and sleep and do all kinds of things. There's no restriction. I was just told that in the city of Burbank, you've heard of Burbank? They have this crazy law. If you cross the street when you're not supposed to, $300 ticket for just crossing the street when you're not supposed to. Yeah, $300. What's that? That's ridiculous. So, if a dog crosses the street, the cop doesn't write a ticket, right? So, human society means there's responsibilities, there's restrictions, there's laws. But animal life, you're free. Do as you like. Roam. Enjoy. So, you're given human life, but you don't use it for the opportunity it was meant for, then Krishna tells material nature, give him an animal body. He doesn't deserve a human body. But if in this human life you're religious and you inquire about God, oh, very good. Then worst case scenario, in your next life, you get a better material position to continue, right? You get a better material situation to continue. But if you misuse, you go down. All right, we'll stop here. Oh, we have a question. Yes. Yes. Yes, yes. Okay. Okay. I understand what you're saying. I've gotten this question 100 times already. Okay. First, I'll give you an example. Krishna didn't kill Kamsa right away. He let him go on for some time. Then when the time was right, Hiranyakashipu Nrsingadev didn't come right away. Ravana went on for some time, then when the time was right. So don't worry. They may go on for a little while. Their day is coming. They will get punished big time. Not according to your schedule. When Krishna says it's time, then don't worry. It's not that Krishna, come on, this guy, my neighbor, he's real demon. Would you please smash him? No, 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 no. Krishna is letting him go on. Go ahead, go on, go on. Then, boom. Okay? Yeah. I once got that from another person because he was giving the argument. Prabhu, I go to temple, I do chanting, and I barely can afford my 2-bedroom apartment. And my neighbor, he drinks, he smokes, he does, and he's living rich and famous. Maybe I should be like him. I said, no, no, don't think like that. His day is coming, don't worry. What's happening is, he's just burning up his good karma account. And when that account is burnt up, big times, don't worry. Nobody gets, you can't escape the infallible laws of nature. Nobody. Not Trump, not anybody. They're all going to get their day. Just wait, okay? But just make sure you do the right thing. Okay? Good enough? Shall we have Arti? Let's all rise and worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead.